Hello, Northview families. Our most recent request for family feedback was regarding the later start time trial for second semester. If you've already shared your thoughts, thank you. If you have not yet offered feedback, there is still time. To date, the family feedback shows that there is significant support for the later start time trial, as well as other families who are concerned about how the information was shared and its possible impact on student learning. I had not planned on sharing another video, but there are 4 components of the later start time trial that I feel compelled to address. The 4 areas are how the later start time trial information was shared with families, the reason for the later start time trial, the forum class, and what happens next. How families learned about the later start time trial was fumbled and mismanaged, and I'm sorry. This is my responsibility. Communicating the later start time trial was already a difficult task. The confusion and frustration in how it was shared made it many more times difficult to clearly communicate. As an explanation and not as an excuse, when I began getting questions from families, I abandoned the plan we had for releasing the video on September 12th, and instead pushed out the video as quickly as I could. As one parent shared with me, regardless of the intent, it was a very bad look for the district, and they're right. My hope is that you are able to overlook my fumble. Next is, why did we come to this decision? For the sake of time, here's a broad overview to answer that question. Last year, we conducted focus groups and surveyed students. We saw 2 key trends from that feedback. First, most students reported being physically tired. Many students said that they were stressed with life and school. Students then connected both of these to the importance of the later start time on Wednesdays. Why? Because the later start time was helpful. The second trend was students sharing that they wanted more time with their friends. The number 1 recommendation from students on how to accomplish this was to offer more after-school activities. The Belonging and After-School Engagement Program, which we started last spring and is continuing this year, was created based on that student feedback. If you're unfamiliar with BASE, please connect with your school or our community ed office for details. It's free, transportation is provided, and the opportunities for students are amazing. Regarding the later start time, what our students shared with us is what is seen nationally. The American Academy of Pediatrics reported that 73% of teenagers are not getting enough sleep. 7 out of 10 is substantial. It also shows that roughly 30% of students are getting enough sleep. This scenario perfectly represents the constant challenge school districts face: how to try an initiative that could help a majority of the students, while at the same time not disenfranchising the families and students who are doing well. Obviously, I don't have the answer on how to navigate this challenge. However, I think most of us would agree that COVID has had a negative impact on our students. We see this clearly. Our staff are responding to a level of student need that is greater than at any time before. The question we have been asking is, how do we respond to the increased need? Do we bear down harder on what we have been doing? Or do we have the courage to listen to our students, test the research, and try a change that we truly believe has a chance to improve student well-being and increase academic growth and achievement? We came to the decision to implement the later start time trial because we see merit in testing the hypothesis that it will help students. While there are families and students that don't see a direct benefit, please consider the issue of driving while drowsy. I may be wide awake while driving, but it is also in my best interest that everyone else on the road is also awake and alert. The third area is the forum class. This class is necessary to meet the number of instructional hours required by the state of Michigan. I know there is frustration because of the lack of details around this class. The details will come. Now that school is back in session, the work to make this class a meaningful learning experience is underway. What I can share about Forum is that it will not be an online class that reminds families or students of learning virtually at the start of the pandemic. Associated with forum is the question about student drop-off in the morning. Families will still be able to drop off their students at the same time as they do now. Supervision will be provided, and there will be a plan for each student on how they can maximize that time for learning. Another question, and it is an important one that we spent a lot of time researching and discussing, is the decrease in instructional minutes. There isn't a research-based recommendation for how many minutes each period should be in a 6 or 7 period school day. There is research that shows us the importance of how instructional time is used. We also know that treating each subject equally through the number of minutes it is taught does not align with our knowledge that every student has different learning priorities. Another consideration is the National Assessment of Education Progress, or NAEP. The NAEP is often called the nation's report card. The top ranking states in NAEP scores are Massachusetts, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Vermont. None of these states require more than 180 days of school. Of those 4 states, Massachusetts requires the highest number of instructional hours for secondary students. How many? 990. That's 108 hours less than what is required by the state of Michigan. Yes, it is only one data point, but another data point is that Michigan is the 31st ranked state. We need to be mindful of the number of instructional minutes, but we must also consider how we are using that time in the level of student engagement. The 4th area is what happens next. We build the forum class. We do this by regularly sharing our progress and asking for family and student feedback. We answer each question in writing that has been asked throughout the feedback form. We walk through every student schedule to ensure it is ready for the second semester. We identify the specific situations where the later start time trial is problematic. We work on finding a solution. And we do whatever else is needed so that it is many months before either you or I are subjected to another video from me. Please see the updated FAQ in today's family update. Responses to the top 3 questions families asked in the feedback are now included in the FAQ. Thank you.